Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will study chapter 10, verses 39 and 40. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So 1039, 1040 of Bhagavad Gita. यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहम् अर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत्स्यान्मया भूतं चराचरम्. Yat, whatever, cha, also, api, may be, sarvabhutanam, of all creations, bijam, seed, tat, that, aham, I am, Arjuna, O Arjuna, na, not, tat, that, asti, there is, vina, without, yat, which, syat, exists, maya, me, bhutam, created being, chara, acharam, moving and non-moving. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. Nothing, moving or non-moving, can exist without me. Purport. Everything has a cause, and that cause or seed of manifestation is Krishna. Without Krishna's potency, nothing can exist, either moving or non-moving. Therefore, he is called omnipotent. Whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not. We'll just read the next verse as well. Nantosti mama divyanam bhutinam vibhutinam parantapa esha tu deshatah prokto vibhuter vistaro maya. Na, nor, antah, a limit, asti, there is, mama, my, divyanam, of the divine, vibhutinam, opulences, parantapa, O conqueror of the enemies, eshah, all this, tu, but, uddeshatah, as examples, proktah, spoken, vibhuteh, of opulences, vistarah, the expanse, maya, by me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, although the opulences and energies of the Supreme are understood in various ways, there is no limit to such opulences. Therefore, not all the opulences and energies can be explained. Simply a few examples are being described to Arjuna to pacify his inquisitiveness. So, these are the two verses we're going to study today. यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहम् अर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत्स्यान् मया भूतं चराचरम्. So bijam, seed. Everything starts with a seed. And that seed can be in different ways. For example, if you see, there are 4 types of birth that happens, right? Do you know? So 8532 purport, you see. In this cosmic manifestation, there are 4 kinds of living entities. Jarayuja, those born from embryos. Andaja, those born from eggs. Svedaja, those born from perspiration, and Udbhija, those born from seeds. Everything is generated from the Lord as confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmatyasya Yata. Now, although there are these Jarayuja, Andaja, Svedaja, and Udbhija, all are actually starting from seeds. So, Jarayuja, those were born from embryos. But how did he come into that embryo? So, the semen and the ovum, they mix, and that's how. So, that semen is called the seed. So, that seed has to be planted in a fertile atmosphere, whether it's the reproductive organ of the female in the case of a mammal, or if it is eggs, then eggs are like, outsourced wombs, like, not outsourced, what is called, kind of outsourced, yeah. So the hen or the birds or the reptiles or egg laying creatures, they don't carry the offspring in their embryo, so they don't have to bear the weight. But there's other risks, because eggs can be attacked by other hunters, predators. So in that way, although like Andaja is eggs, born from eggs, Svedaja is born from perspiration. So when we say Jarayu or Anda or Sveda, they are all secondary kind of sources of appearance of those living entities. Originally, because nobody can take birth from an embryo without being impregnated, right? So that impregnation is the seed. Anda also same, and Sveda, perspiration, again it's the eggs that eventually come from again how to say, impregnation, and from there the living entities come. Now Udbhija, in the case of plants, the seeds are sown in the soil. Easily we could have said that appearing from the soil, from the earth, but here the word is used Udbhija. So it is these 4 categories are just how we perceive them to come, how we perceive that they come into being in this world. But otherwise, everybody is coming from seeds, and not just the living entities. Everything starts with seeds. So, for example, an idea is a seed, and then when it is given enough nourishment in the form of talking, planning, and discussing, brainstorming, and actually acting upon it, then that takes effect. Like, I have an idea, and then I plan about it, I talk about it, I do something about it, some research, and then eventually I actually, say for example a product. If I want to manufacture a product, a lot of things go into, and finally the product is out, and so that's the germination of that seed. It starts off as an idea, so it starts very subtle, and then you see the eventual manifestation in the visible world of such an idea. So everything starts from this seed. So everything, even the universe, starts from the seed, Hiranyagarbha. It's like a golden egg. It is actually explained in the Bhagavatam. It starts off very, very small, which is why the modern scientists, they think it started with a Big Bang. But that would mean even we also like a Big Bang. We also took birth like a Big Bang, because we started very, very small. We started very, very small. Like, one atom. We were one atom. When the intercourse happens between the male and female, that first night, the sperm and the ovum, they mix, and then the living entity enters into them. This is explained in the Bhagavatam, right? I think you all know the verse. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31:1. Pumso retah kanashrayah Shri Bhagavanuvach karmana daivanetrena jantur dehopapattaye striyah pravishta udaram pumso retah kanashrayah. Kana means particle. An atom. We were just a particle when we first started out, and then we expanded, and then we became bigger. That does not mean it was a big bang. No. So a big banyan tree starts off as a seed, which is very, very small, and then it grows into a big banyan tree, and it has millions of seeds, and each of those has the potentiality of another banyan tree. So this exponential expansion from one seed, we can see all over the creation. And yet foolish scientists, they say that it started off as a big bang. That's not how things came about. It was not so chaotic. It's even for us, sometimes things appear chaotic to us in our scale and in our perception, but they're not actually chaotic. Very, very orderly. Yachakshureshya savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurtirashesha teja yasyagnyaya bhramati samvrita kala chakro govindamavi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yasyagnyaya. So Savita, the sun, is so powerful, and for us it looks like a chaotic planet. It's complete explosions after explosions of huge solar nuclear explosions are going on, and sometimes those solar flares affect even planets as far as the Earth and even further. Apparently Mars, recently I just read about it, that Mars has a very thin atmosphere because the solar winds hit at a very high pace, and then the kind of gases they have. This is according to the scientists. For us, it will always look uninhabitable, but there are living entities there. But the point is, solar wind is going even until Mars. And apparently when there is a huge solar flare, it affects our electrical appliances and the grid. It affects. So it looks chaotic. Every time imagine a nuclear explosion on this planet. It will be just almost the end of the world. End of life as we know it. So imagine always nuclear explosions happening on a planet. How can there be any order in that? It's just chaos. But no, it's not. There is such order to that planet of the sun, because at least we can see we may not understand the surface of the sun very well, but just see how it is very orderly. It's moving, and fixed orbit, in fixed time schedule. So that's not chaotic. If it is so chaotic, then it should be just out of, there should be no order at all. But we can predict the rising and setting of the sun. Even after 1,000 years, we can still predict when it will rise and when it will set. There is so much order. If there is no pattern, how to even predict accurately? But it can be predicted with astrological understanding, astrological calculations. So that means there is order. So that's the real form of expansion. So the universe also expands in the same way. It's not like this Big Bang. It's more like the change that we see in every single body, which is like a microcosm. So the whole macrocosm also follows the same format. The microcosm is our body, and then the macrocosm is the whole universe. It's the same pattern. So anyway, this is how a living entity enters into the womb of the female, the woman. So all the different kinds of birth that we see, all happens because of the seed. And not only birth, even any idea, anything that comes into manifestation as we see it, it all started as an idea. And even our devotional life is also described as Guru Krishna Prasadapai Bhaktilata Bij. And Prabhupada actually explains Bhaktilata Bij. What is this Bhaktilata Bij? What is the seed of devotional service? Digressing here, but just to understand what seed means. And in all forms we should understand the seed. See, Madhya 19.152. Bhaktilata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called the bija or seed. The methods, rules and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhaktilata Bij or seed of devotional service. This Bhaktilata Bij is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds called Anyabhilasha Bij include Karma Bij and Jnana Bij. If one is not fortunate enough to receive the Bhaktilata Bij from the spiritual master, he instead cultivates such seeds as Karma Bij, Jnana Bij or political, social or philanthropic Bijas. However, the Bhaktilata Bij is different from these other Bijas. The Bhaktilata Bij can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to satisfy the spiritual master to get the Bhaktilata Bij. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasadaha. The Bhaktilata Bij is the origin of devotional service. Unless one satisfies the spiritual master, he gets the bij or root cause of karma, jnana and yoga without the benefit of devotional service. But one who is faithful to his spiritual master gets the Bhaktilata Bij. So you understand, this Bhaktilata Bij is received when one is initiated by the bona fide spiritual master. So you see, you get the idea now. Bhaktilata Bij is this whole program of our revival of Krishna consciousness, that you see here, for any idea, program, plan or device, first of all there's contemplation, and that is called bija. The methods, rules and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhaktilata Bij or the seed of devotional service. So in this way we have to understand. So everything has an idea and bija, and that bij comes in various forms. Sometimes it's in the matter of reproduction, it comes as semen in the case of egg laying or mammals, and then there is mostly usually eggs, or then in the case of plants, seeds sown in the earth. But in more subtle things, or a plan or a program or something which is also a seed, that is called arambha. The seed, that's why Bhaktilata Bij, remember this, A devotee is called in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's here, right? I think next one, 12:16. Okay, you see. Sarvarambha Parityagi. Sarva Arambha Parityagi. Parityagi means one who gives up, one who denounces. Sarvarambha, all kinds of Arambha. Arambha means beginnings or seeds. Parityagi. He gives up all kinds of endeavors. That means he does not sow his own seeds. He takes Krishna's seeds from the mercy of the with the mercy of the Guru, and then waters that seed by Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. That is devotee. So anapekshaha shuchir daksha udasino gatavyatha sarvarambha parityagi yomad bhaktaha same priya. Anapekshaha means neutral. Shuchihi, pure. Daksha, expert. Udasina, free from care. Gatavyatha, freed from all distress. Sarva arambha, of all endeavors. Parityagi, renouncer. Yah, anyone who. Mad bhaktaha, my devotee. Saha, he. May, to me, priya, very dear. So my devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear. So this striving for some result means it starts off with the bija, which is also called arambha. Sarvarambha parityagi. I think if we go to here, 7:13:8, Srimad Bhagavatam. Arabhet kvachit, na arambhan, narambhan, arabhet kvachit. न शिष्यान् अनुबध्नीत ग्रंथान् नैवाभ्यसेत बहून् न व्याख्याम् उपयुञ्जीत नारम्भान् आरभेत क्वचित्. See here, the duties of a sannyasi are mentioned, and this is actually applicable for any devotee, because a devotee is ultimately a sannyasi. Because sannyasi means satnyasi, one who gives up everything for the cause of sat, or the absolute truth, is a sannyasi. So Krishna defines the sannyasi in the Bhagavad Gita 6:1, 6th chapter, 1st verse. What is that? Anasaktya vishayan. No. That is Goswami's verse. What is that? Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnirna chakriyah. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah. So he does not covet or want the desire or the result of his activity, but he acts as he is duty bound for the pleasure of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. See? So going back, here it is said a sannyasi, or you can replace this devotee. A devotee, this is actually for the 4 varnas, sannyasi. But again, any devotee. A sannyasi must not present allurements of material benefits to gather many disciples, nor should he unnecessarily read many books or give discourses as a means of livelihood. He must never attempt to increase material opulences unnecessarily. Narambhan arabhet kvachit. Arambhan, here, unnecessary opulences. Arabhet, should attempt to increase. Kvachit. Now, why are they translated like this? So, in the purport, I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains Mathadi Vyaparan. Arambhan as Mathadi Vyaparan. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the word Arambhan as meaning Mathadi Vyaparan, which means attempts to construct temples and monasteries. So, Narambhan arabhet kvachit. We should not increase these material opulences. He says this refers to construction of temples and monasteries. We should not be too much enthusiastic about this. Now, in our movement, we do construct temples, right? And it's a big undertaking. But the reason for that is to create a facility for congregation of devotees where they can come together and become inspired in Krishna consciousness and actually learn Krishna consciousness, the art of becoming a devotee. It's a facility to offer the association of devotees, and for that purpose, we have to have a dwelling. So that is what the temple is all about. But even if we have a very big, nice structure, if there is no bhava of, Krishna's service, then it is not inspiring. It does not inspire devotional service. So in Kali Yuga especially, construction of temples will dwindle because people will be interested in just staying comfortably in an opulent building, but not actually doing the work of preaching Krishna consciousness. That's why at one point Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he constructed this Bagh Bazaar temple, very nice grand temple in Kolkata, and he inaugurated it in grand style and everything, and people were coming in great numbers. But then at one point he was lamenting that now there is this nice temple, but there are devotees who are fighting even to which room to occupy. They're fighting among themselves for these things. So I want to sell all the marble of the temple and actually use that money to print books. And this he said to Prabhupada in Radha Kund and in other instances as well. So you see how the focus of a temple is to actually, that's why once when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was praised by one Hindu gentleman, that you have done such great work, you have built so many temples all over India, and this is really phenomenal work we have done. He said, my real work is to build a temple in everyone's heart. Now that's not just sentimental some way of saying it. No, it is very, very deep, because the whole idea of all our activities in Krishna consciousness is to awaken our Krishna consciousness. All the different activities there are in Krishna consciousness, Krishnarthya Akhila Cheshta, are all meant to control our mind and fix it on Krishna. It appears that we're doing many activities, but all of them have just one focus, and that is Krishna. So that is what we should focus on. Because we are unable to sit down in one place like Haridas Thakur to chant Hare Krishna, therefore we are offered the facility of many engagements to satisfy our restless nature, but at the same time, see how magical this devotional service is, that it caters to our restless nature, at the same time fixes our mind on Krishna. Because all these engagements, the center is Krishna. So in this way, we are able to advance in Krishna consciousness, and that's what the Guru, Srila Prabhupada, has given us. His a Guru's duty is to actually create a facility for. That's why every morning we sing. What we sing? Sri Vigraharadhana Nityanana Shrangara Mandira Marjanado Yuktasya Bhaktamscha Niyunjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam. So, Sri Vigraharadhana Nityanana Shrangara Mandira Marjanado. So, variety of services. Nana means variety of services. Unlimited variety. All kinds of, all sorts of. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he's instructing Sanatana Goswami. He says, Krishnarthe akhila cheshta. All kinds of activities for Krishna. But the focus is Krishna. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, my real mission is to build a temple in everyone's heart. So that's what it's all about. We have to make them devotees. They have to go back to Krishna. These temples are facilities to train the devotees so that they become perfect and go back to Krishna. So that goal should never be forgotten, that they have to go back to Krishna. Not that there is a big temple here, so devotees will go back automatically to Krishna. No, they must become devotees and pure devotees. Then they can go back to Krishna. Because ultimately, Pritirna yavan mai vasudeve, Pritirna yavan mai vasudeve, namuchyate deha yogena tavat. See this verse? 556. Evam manah karma vasham prayunkte avidyayatmanyupathiyamane pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Pritirna yavan. That is most important. We have to have priti. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind is subjugated by fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudev, who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. Until we have that love for him, we are certain not to be. We can be certain of our of us being not delivered from this world. So if we really want Krishna, if we really want to, after this death, see Krishna, then we have to come to the point of Vasudeva Priti. Pritirna yavan mai Vasudeva namuchyate deha yogena tavat. He is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. So this is very important. So that's the whole mission, to get the souls from this material world to the spiritual world. So all these Mathadi Vyaparan, this whole business of constructing temples and monasteries and taking such huge undertakings. I mean, I just went to our ISKM Puducherry. Prahlad Prabhu is undertaking this huge operation of building that temple there. It's a gorgeous structure. It's coming very beautifully well. And if I recommend all devotees who have not gone there yet, please go there and see the scale at which it is coming up. It's beautiful. I mean, for our ISKM, that's the first. I mean, it's a temple building project. It's first in our ISKM conglomerate of temples. Now, and of course, there is one coming up in Amalapuram as well, a big one. So it's already. I asked Prahlad Prabhu, how much money have you already spent so far? He said 4 crores. And how much more do you have to spend? He said, well, to complete this structure which is currently being built, I would probably need another 3 to 4 crores minimum. Okay. But then he said he wants to take the land beside and then build another whole kind of Vrindavan village kind of setting. So he would need, he said, if all those plans have to come to fruition, it might even cost 20 crores or 25 crores. He's not sure. So it's a huge endeavor. Mathadi Vyaparan is not an easy thing to do. And therefore, Rupa Goswami, for example, when there was a donor, then he engaged him, okay, you build the temple. But he personally spent most of his time writing books, which form the basis of our, which form the basis for our movement. Because Prabhupada, he basically translated the books written by the Goswamis and the acharyas, their commentaries. So he based his books based on that. And that's how this movement is being able to be spread all over the world. So anyway, coming back to this, today's verse, Bijam. So Krishna says, I am the Bijam of all existences. Bijam tadaham Arjuna sarvabhutanam yacchapi. So maya bhutam characharam. I am the generating seed of all existences. So at every level, whether it's our bodies, which is the microcosm, or the macrocosm, which is the entire universe, or not just the universe, the whole collection of millions and trillions and innumerable universes, which only form 1/4 of the total energy, which is the material world, and the rest 3/4 of his energy displayed in the spiritual world. Of course, that part is eternal, but still, he is the origin. Like ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, and दीपार्चिरेव हि दशान्तरमभ्युपेत्य दीपायते विवृत हेतु समान धर्म यस्तादृगेव हि च विष्णुतया विभाति गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. So the example is given. All Vishnu Tattva are equal in power, but there is one candle. They are compared to candles. One candle starts off lighting every other candle. Now, after they have been lighted, yes, all have the same burning power, but there was one origin. But this example gives the indication of time, because there has to be a first candle which exists prior to other candles. So there is an element of time here. And then that candle goes around lighting other candles, and then they have the same burning power as this candle. So it appears that, there was a first, there was Krishna, and then the Vishnu Tattvas came into being. But it's not that. They all are eternal, and yet he is the origin. Now, this is a thing that is difficult to accommodate in our tiny brain, because we are so used to everything having a beginning and an end. So the progress of time is what we associate everything with, because it's the most conspicuous thing in this world, because everything is moving forward in time, and not one moment we can get back. What is that? Ayusha kshaname nalabhyate swarnakotibhi. Not even one moment can be gotten back, even if we pay millions and millions of gold coins. So that much valuable. I mean, not just valuable, that is how forceful time is, that we cannot get back this time. It will move forward, and then everything is being crushed under the wheel of time. So everything will be destroyed. So that's the most prominent thing that we see in this world, although we don't see it, but we feel it, the movement of time. It's also imperceptible. It's very pernicious in the way it works, insidious, because we can't really see, like, who is planning for life after death? Who is serious about it? Hardly anyone, because we don't see that, I'm going to die. When we get a notice from the hospital or the doctor saying that, hey, you only have 6 months left, that's when it hits. Oh, okay, there is an end coming. But that warning was there right from the beginning, and it has been we are being given that warning of death in multiple ways. For example, when we take birth, with each passing day we are getting closer to death. Well, it's not so obvious. So when a birthday comes, when we are, let's say, 1 year, 2 years old, 3 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, it's a reminder, actually, 20 years closer now to death. How much is left, we do not know. We know how much we spent, how much time we spent in this world, and we celebrate that. Oh, I spent this much, I spent this much. I think recently I heard a quote which says, time is one thing, our lifetime is one thing we spend, without knowing how much balance we have. Usually, we look at our balance. If I want to spend something, some money for buying something, I'll see how much balance I have in the bank. You know what? I need to save up. I think I cannot buy this. My budget doesn't allow me. So, but we don't know what is our budget in our lifetime. Our time budget, not the money budget. The time budget. We don't know how much we have in balance. When Parikshit Maharaj knew that he had 7 days, he utilized it for the maximum by hearing Krishna Katha. But everybody has, whether it's 7 days or 7 minutes, 7 seconds, 7 decades, whatever it is, everyone has an end point in this body. So before that, we have to finish. And how much more serious we should be, because we don't know when it's going to end. So I should hurry up actually. That's why it is said, Kaumara Charit Prajna. At 5 years old, you have to take it up. This Bhagavad Dharman Bhagavataneha. Bhagavatam says that at 5 years old, we are going to start. Why? Because, I don't know, what if I die at 6-year-old? But also, even if I live for 100, do you think that is enough? Like 95 years is enough to completely undo all the material conditioning for the past trillions of years? It's a Herculean task in itself, even if we had a 100-year lifetime. So there's no time to waste. And finally, we have gotten a human body. Imagine those animals and insects. You just look at an insect next time. Closely look at the insect in your room or whatever, ant or something. Just look at the insect and see how far it is from Krishna. How far away that soul. He is supposed to dance with Krishna. He is supposed to be playing with Krishna, joking with him, dancing with him, enjoying himself to the fullest in Krishna's company. Look what he has become, a cockroach or an ant or a mosquito who is just sucking people's blood. Like, what has become of this soul? How fallen he has become, that from enjoying with Krishna, dancing with him, he has fallen so low as to become an insect, hunting other insects, worms. Sometimes these National Geographic kind of videos are there, wildlife videos, and you see these, worms or insects, or how they hunt other, and even bigger animals, how they hunt, and how they survive in the wild. And just look at them, who they are, who are all those souls? Krishna's personal associates, pure devotees of Krishna. Whatever reason, forgot, fell badly, and now they are as a pig, as a wild boar, as an insect, as a snake. Look at what they're doing right now. What are they busy with in their life? Supposed to be dancing with Krishna. Look at the contrast of their life. So, those lifetimes we have also passed in those bodies. Now we have human life. Golden opportunity after trillions and trillions of years. A golden opportunity that will not last very long. Still we want to waste time? So, we have to take up this immediately. And it starts with this knowledge. When Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tattvataha. Janma karma chame divyam means it's not just Krishna's Leela, Krishna Leela, as we know it in the 10th canto in Bhagavatam, from his childhood Leela to his leaving this world. Not just that, Janma karma, or only his other avatars, their birth and their activities, what they did, what Leela. No. Okay. So, Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, right? We have knowledge acquiring senses, which are our eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. And then there is Karmendriyas. Among Karmendriyas are hands, legs, genitals, anus, and speech. So even his speech is his karma. Like Janma karma chame divyam, when he says it. So in that karma is also his speech. Speech is also his karma. That is also his activity. And then of course he does so many other leelas. Yes, victorious, killing the demons, or saving the devotees, and Ras Leela, dancing with gopis, or playing with his cowherd boyfriends. So many leelas, right? But apart from that, his speaking is also a leela. It is also an activity, because karmendriya means working senses, means this is also work, karma. So his teachings, his everything we have to understand in detail. His creation, his whole creation is his activity. Although we may say this is material world, but this was created by him, and therefore it is his leela. So we should understand evam yavati tattvataha, in truth. Now when it's said in truth, here, interesting line here, Prabhupada said, whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not. But what is there that is not founded in the energy of Krishna? Everything is founded on the energy of Krishna, because that's where he is the origin. Sarva karana karanam, aham sarvasya prabhavaha, janmadyasya yataha. All these point to one thing. And here he says, bija aham sarva bhutanam. So he is the origin. And so everything is founded on the bija, the big banyan tree is founded upon the seed. The seed is the origin. So whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya. So what is not founded on the energy of Krishna? Is there such a thing? There is not. So what is it then? It is only in our polluted brain, polluted mind, that we have this conception that something is not founded on the energy of Krishna. And that is called Maya. Maya is not anywhere. It's just here. Because everything is Krishna's property. So a pure devotee sees everything in relation to Krishna. Whereas the non-devotee, he tries to deny that relationship. And that is Maya. That false ego. That misidentification, not understanding who we are and who God is and what is his relationship to his entire creation. That discord between reality and our perception of it, that is Maya. That which is not. That which is not means it is not a fact. It is what you think it is, but it is not a fact. So our perception and fact can be two different things. It can be the same if we accept Krishna's word. Otherwise, we are just, it is just a figment of our imagination. So, in this way, of course, Krishna gave some examples, and that is the next verse actually. Nantosti mama divyanam na anta asti na antah asti mama divyanam vibhutinam parantapa eshatu uddeshatah proktah vibhuter vistaro maya. So Krishna is now summarizing the whole thing in this chapter. See, he said, among this I am that, among this I am that. So he's just telling us what the prominent things in each of the categories, and that is a representation of my energy. He mentioned like that many things. But here he's finally saying, he's concluding. He's saying, actually, there is no end to my divine manifestations. And when he says, among the fish I am the shark, it is not that only the shark is the representation of Krishna's energy. Even the small fish are his representation. Everything, whether it's exceptional or whether it's mediocre, both are his energies. But he pointed out to the exceptional in each category because that will remind us of the greatness of Krishna. But even the not so great things, in calculation, but actually each is great in its own way. Like, the other day, I watched this a short video about this frog. It's a very tiny frog. It's maybe this size. That's all. That's all it is. And it's called the glass frog. Glass frog. And it has this unique ability. Now, in size, it's not a very great, exceptional thing, but it has its own exceptional thing. It can disappear to its predator, the snake. Um, they're expert at identifying frogs, but this frog, the snake can be this distance away from him. But if he remains still and does not move, the snake cannot identify him. He makes himself invisible, that even if you see through a leaf, you cannot see his shadow. If there is a leaf and then on the other side is a frog, tiny frog, anything is there, it's like a shadow will be there, the shape. He will make himself disappear. How? His blood, he moves all his blood to his liver. So the blood going in the blood vessels of all his limbs, it does not go there anymore, and therefore it is not visible. He concentrates all the blood in his liver, and then he shrinks his liver to 1/4 of its size or something, so it's hardly visible, faint. Because if the blood is going everywhere, then there's a shape of, so the frog shape can be identified. Already his skin is very, transparent. So if there is blood going in, so that is visible. So this frog, he has the ability to actually concentrate all his blood away from his limbs, everything, and put it only in his liver, apparently. Heart, liver, he said. The narrator, he said liver. And then he shrinks the liver to 1/4 of a size. Exceptional, right? But it's not mentioned as one of the opulences here. But if you see anything that is mediocre or great, even the thing that is not so great, compared to a non-moving object, it is greater, right? So, and if we say the non-moving object is not great, then it is also great, because how big is this universe? So whether it's not only the greatest thing that is a representation of Krishna, even the smallest thing is a representation of Krishna, and everything in between is an energy of Krishna, whether it's exceptional or not. So finally he says this: there is no end to my divine manifestation. And in the previous verse 39 he said, all moving and non-moving beings, none of them can exist without me. So I am the basis for everything that exists. So Krishna is laying it out. So here he is saying, there's no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. They're so infinite. When you say infinite, infinite means innumerable. Can anyone estimate? No. Even Krishna cannot estimate. First, there is Brahma's statement. Many people actually have commented similar things. So here Brahma says, Gunatmanastepi gunan vimatum hitva vatirnasya ka ishiresya kalena yairva vimitah sukalpair bhupam shavakhe mihikadyubhasa. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities? I was just thinking this morning that Krishna's birth is celebrated. But for Krishna, is that really a celebration? Think of it from his perspective. You know, he is actually coming into this material world out of his pain, out of his um, mm, out of his, how to say, yeah, pain. His pain is to see us suffering. So out of his causeless mercy, he is coming. We don't deserve such mercy. He is coming though to reclaim, with the hope that some will take up, some will be attracted. Of course, there is the other side of him where, wherever he is, he's just happy. Uh, why is it significant for us to celebrate the birthday of the Lord or the appearance day of the acharyas who are sent by the Lord to help us? Because their birth is so glorious, they come here to reclaim us. So his entrance into the material world is a celebration for us because he's coming to release us. Just as, uh, when Narakasura was killed, many kings and also the 16,000 queens that he married, you know, when he went to the prison to relieve them, that was celebration for them. Those kings and those girls who eventually married to Krishna, they all were elated when Krishna came into the prison. And then Krishna said, "Yes, I will deliver you." Prabhupada mentioned very nicely in one lecture. He went there and all the girls were there, 16,000. Because in Vedic culture, when a girl goes out of the house, if she doesn't return in the night, she's what is that? Disowned by the father. Oh, you're polluted. You must have slept with someone, something. Nobody will marry you. I disown you as my daughter. That kind of situations. So in the case of these girls, they said, now we have been imprisoned by this demon, and now nobody will marry us. Please save us. And Krishna, all right, come on. Prabhupada said, all right, come on. He married all 16,000 of them. Elation for them, right? So that's how it is for us. He comes into this prison house of the material world, and it's a celebration. We need to celebrate because he's coming here to relieve us finally, 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 after trillions and trillions of births, as a frog, as a glass frog, trying to hide from the snake, becoming transparent, putting the blood in the liver and all that, and shrinking the liver to 1/4 of its size and all that. That's just one life. How many millions of lifetimes, how many pains, how many sufferings we have gone through just because we have banished Krishna from our hearts. So we were banished from Vaikuntha. And now Krishna is entering into this world to reclaim us. That's a celebration. But for Krishna, it's painful. He's out of his own compassion for us that he's coming. For him, what will be the celebration? For us, the celebration was his entering into the material world. For him, the celebration will be us entering into the spiritual world. That will be his celebration. That's why I always said, that I made a small video on that. The most painful sloka of all time is this one. अस्मिन् निहेहैव भवे भावे मदुन्मुख इत्याशया तवात्यन्तं नर्तितोऽस्मि सदाज्ञवत्. This is actually very, very painful because this is how Krishna is thinking. And so he's saying, for so long, hope had me dancing like a fool, thinking, perhaps in this lifetime, or this, or this, or this, he will finally turn his face towards me. So, who said this? Krishna said this, Lord Narayana actually. So that's why this M actually should be capital M. I don't know why they put a small m. It's actually. I'll take the liberty to change that. Because you see here the me is capital M, there it is small. How rare. So actually it is Lord Narayana who was saying this to Gopakumar when he finally returned to the Vaikuntha from the material world. He said this. How long I have been, out of great hope I was waiting for you, and every life that you took, I was there right beside you and I was dancing, just imagine how much we have disappointed him. He was not just like silently hoping, oh, maybe he will come. No, he was dancing. Yeah, he will come back to me. He will come back to me. Although we have nothing attractive, there's no reason for him to be attracted to us. Nothing that we bring to the table at all. But he's so merciful and he's dancing. Oh, that we're coming back. But then he called himself fool for having the hope that we would return to him. We are so hopeless that he considers himself a fool to be having that hope that we would return to him. That much he has given up. And how much pain, for a father to see his children suffering like that. When you see the insect, you look at the insect hard with all the philosophy you have learned. And just imagine how much pain that will cause Krishna just looking at the insect. And Krishna is right there in that heart of that insect. How far he has come, the soul, from Krishna. How much he is having to suffer. He has no clue of where he is, what he is. And why is he like that? Because he wanted to forget Krishna. And now he totally forgot. There's no chance to remember him. Human life, there is only chance. All other life form, there's no chance to remember Krishna. And in that human life also, hardly anyone remembers Krishna. At least there is a chance here. But for the animals, for the insects, the only hope is some prasadam. If some devotee throws some prasadam, dog, all these animals, where they are, how far they have come. But Krishna is just waiting. We look at the animal, we understand no hope. But Krishna is, you see, having so much hope on us. So hopeless we are. So for him, the biggest celebration, he will dance so much when we actually return to him. That's his real celebration. So for him, so that's what really matters. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said the real mission is to actually build a temple in everyone's heart. Because now there is the Lord, but there's no temple. Now, what is the use of a temple? What is the temple? Because the Lord is in every atom. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham. So what is the use of a temple? Why should we have a temple and big 4 crore, 10 crore, 20 crores? What is this? Or millions of dollars? What is that? Why all this endeavor when the Lord is everywhere anyway? Why you need a big temple to house him? Temple means devotion. There is a whole program of serving the Lord. The Lord is everywhere. It's not a problem for the Lord to be anywhere. The problem is we don't serve him. And a temple is a place where he is served, he is honored, he is, glorified. That's a temple. And building a temple in everyone's heart means, well, he is Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddesha Arjuna Tishtati. Krishna says, I am in the heart of everyone, even the frog, even the dog, even the worm in the stool, I am there in the heart of that. So it's not a big thing for the Lord to be anywhere, even in the heart of everyone's heart. He's already there. But we don't have the devotion. So we don't have a temple to house him. We don't have a program to worship him. The person who's in our heart. That's what we need to build. The sense of devotion. That is the meaning of temple in the heart. That's the difference between the temple and an outside place. The Lord is there on the road also. On the road that everyone is stepping on, and the cars and everyone is going on the road, and the people are spitting and everything. He's there. He's there. Andantarastu Paramanu Chayantarastha means he's there in every single atom. So, but there the Lord is not worshipped. Here in the temple, the people are trained how to worship. People can come and hear about him. They can actually practically engage in his service. In this way, we can actually become his proper devotee. That's what a temple is. So going back, So here Brahma says, there's nobody in this universe who can understand Krishna. And there is another verse like this also. Grains of sand or something like this. There is also another verse like this. And then finally, there is this verse. 10:51:36. I guess I'm right. Yeah. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna himself is speaking. Janma karmabhidhanani santamenga sahasrashah न शक्यन्ते नु संख्यातुम अनंतत्वान् मयापिहि. See, the Lord is saying, my dear friend, I have taken thousands of births, lived thousands of lives, and have accepted thousands of names. In fact, my births, activities, and names are limitless, and thus even I cannot count them. But Krishna said, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vetha parantapa. Both you and I, Arjuna, have taken many births. I remember all of them, but you cannot. But here he is saying, I cannot even count them. Because he can count them, but there is always a competition of how many lives and names he will take. Once he counts them, then his names and lives and births, everything increases exponentially. Because so many universes he is taking birth more and more and more. There's no end. So once he knows his characteristics, his opulences, his names, the moment he knows, there is an increase. So then he knows and then again increase. It will never end. It keeps on. There's a competition between his knowledge of his opulences and his opulences. So there's a competition. So that's why he cannot even count. But he knows everything. He knows all of it. Every one of his births, every one of his names, every one of his activities, everything. So if even Krishna cannot count, he doesn't know the limit of his own glory. And that's another reason why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because if you read that chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is I think the 4th chapter of Adi Leela, the internal reasons why Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he could not understand himself as he is. So when he is in the form of Krishna, he cannot understand himself, because in the form of Radharani could experience a bliss that was unknown to Krishna, and that is only possible when Krishna is the object of love. So that means you have to be another person than Krishna to love Krishna, to experience that emotion, that. So Krishna felt like this, that I am enjoying always, but it seems that Radharani is enjoying 100 times more than me. It's not just like a marginal increase in pleasure that Radharani is feeling. She is feeling 100 times more, 100x. What is this? So Krishna did not know himself in the capacity of Krishna. That's why he wanted to experience it in the capacity of Radharani and then look at Krishna from that mood in order to actually relish. So that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's avatar itself. His coming as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu itself is a testament to the fact that he cannot know himself. He does not understand the limit of his own glories. That's why this verse is there, which is these two verses actually. Yeah. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritirhladini Shaktirasmat Ekatmanav Bhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gatauto Chaitanyakhyam Prakatam Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhavadyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, previously they separated themselves. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. And the next one. This actually is the verse which highlights the inadequacy of Krishna in knowing himself or relishing himself, and the need for him, the need felt by him to accept the mode of Radharani in order to understand himself. You see, Shri Radhayah Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya Saukyam Chasya Madanubhavatah Kidrisham Veti Lobhat Tadbhavadhyah Samajanishachi Garbha Sindho Harinduhu. Three things. What is that? So you look at this. 3 lines are 3 things. Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayaiva Swadyo Yenad Bhutamadhiruma Kidrisho Vamadiyah Saukham Chasa Madanubhavata Kidrisham Vetilobhat Tadbhavadhya Samajanishachi Garbhasindho Harindu. So 3 things. Kidrisha means what? What kind? Of what kind? What is the nature of? What is the nature of what? Okay. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, number 1. The wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. Even Krishna cannot relish those qualities in himself. Only Sri could relish those things. That means there was an unknown in him that he did not know unless he accepted the mood of Radharani. Only in that love could he experience those qualities of Krishna, which he could not do on his own. See that? So the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. So his love is also so sweet that he is unable to relish because he is giving out that love. He is not the recipient of that love. He is loving us so unconditionally. He is waiting for us to come back. And he is dancing with hope, although we are hopeless to the max. That love, that unbounded outpouring of love that he has, not just for us, but for Radharani and for everyone. So he's always giving out that love. Nobody really loves him, at least in this material world. Nobody even knows him, nobody even cares to know him. Nobody loves him. And even if they do love him, nobody can love him to the extent that he can love them. Like there are so many pure devotees mentioned. They all have single-pointed attention and love for the Lord. Imagine the Lord has to love every single one of us. Every single one. His love is spread out to all the living entities, and he loves each of us so dearly, as if we are the only person in his life. Everyone he loves. Infinite repository of love. So, the sweetness of his love could only be tasted to the highest degree by Srimati Radharani. And therefore he wanted to take up that role in order to taste his own sweetness of his. So to understand himself, his qualities, the sweetness of his love, and to understand Radharani's love actually, by which it is the extracting agency to know Krishna. That's another thing that we can understand from this verse, is that because Radharani's love, you see, first reason is Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kitrisho Vanayaiva. How glorious is Radharani's love, because of which she is able to know the wonderful qualities in him that she alone can relish because of her love. Through her love, you see. Through her love, she alone relishes wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. That means we cannot have knowledge of Krishna's qualities without that love. That means once we have bhakti, then we will have the knowledge of Krishna. It's not that we have knowledge of Krishna, then we have bhakti. No. It seems like that we have to know something about Krishna in order to love him. But that knowing about Krishna, when we hear it from Krishna, it's actually an act of love. It's a preliminary act of love. What is that? To listen to him. Love means, I think the other day I shared in the WhatsApp, love means first of all obedience. To have the bare minimum gratitude to at least, you know what, let me listen to what he has to say. That's the first sign of respect. To actually lend an ear to what he has to say. So when we know about him, from him, or from his dear devotee, that's actually an act of submission to Krishna. It's not that you're kind of trying to figure out Krishna. It seems so that we're trying to figure out Krishna. But it's actually an act of submission, which is the reason why we are able to know at least something about Krishna. When Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha, you should know me in truth, in depth. How can we know him? Not out of our speculation. It is only when we listen to him that we can know him. Like Arjuna, he came to know about Krishna only when he heard from Krishna. We can know about Krishna when we hear from a pure devotee of Krishna. So that is the thing. The wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love. So Krishna actually grants that knowledge to us, because that's what he says, right? Tesham satate yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. So he gives the buddhi only to one who is engaged in satate yuktanam, always engaged with pritipurvakam, with love. Then he will give dadami buddhi yogam tam. Although he gives out that knowledge of his own qualities because of the pritipurvakam, the priti that Radharani has for Krishna extracts so much knowledge of his qualities that he is unable to even fathom the depth of his own qualities. Radharani, out of her love. So that's actually explained in another verse, 127 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahaitukam. Causeless knowledge and detachment of Krishna is automatically, revealed to such a person who is Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. When he is engaged in devotional service, then Janayatyashu Vairagyam. Ashu, very quickly, he will get Jnanam and Vairagyam. So, Radharani. So, the point is, Krishna cannot know himself. That's the limit. So, how much can we explain to Arjuna that, okay, this is among this, I am this, among this, I am this, among this. Whatever he mentioned, the list is something that humans can understand. If he starts talking about things which we cannot understand, we don't even relate to what he's saying. So he has to choose examples which we can understand in that range only. There is so much above and below which we have no access to. But that one slice of existence which we have some access to through perception, among that, in that belt, in that bandwidth of our perception, in that slice of our perception of the entire extent of reality, he is giving some examples, some prominent examples. That's all. Uddeshataha. Some examples I am giving. And okay, let's just continue this verse translation. You see, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love. In order to understand all these things, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appeared from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appeared from the ocean. Scientists don't understand this moon appearing from the ocean. What are you talking about? Come on. Be at least something realistic. They don't understand. This moon, this ocean is actually the ocean of milk which was churned, and one of the things that came out of that is the moon. I may say, oh, that doesn't make any sense at all. Their idea, one of the theories. Anyway, it's all a theory. They say moon has the same soil as Earth. Actually, they never went there, just collected some earth and then saying that moon has the same. And to support the theory, they have a whole theory. Support that fabrication, they have a whole theory. A meteor at one point hit the earth, and then the earth became two parts, and the meteor completely vaporized. Not even single particle is left, completely vaporized. Conveniently. And then earth became one part and moon became another part. And then it is revolving around the earth. And therefore, it is the same composition. Actually, it was one earth before. Now it was the greater earth. Now it became a smaller earth and then a moon. And then the vaporized meteor. This is the explanation. And we have to believe it. So, the moon actually came from the ocean. The milk ocean. It's a whole Leela that happened. And it is celebrated in all parts of Asia actually. That churning of the milk ocean. So this is not something like some fantasy, something. It's actually a recognized historical incident which we are unable to fathom because of our current experience of only the saltwater ocean. But there are other oceans which are of different natures. So anyway, I digress there. The point is this, that who understands Krishna the most? Srimati Radharani. That's also because of her love. So to understand himself, he had to love himself, Krishna. So he came in the mode of Radharani as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to love himself and to understand himself. So that much. So when he reveals many things, whether he is describing the material world or anything in detail here, we should still be very interested, because then we can see Krishna's hand in everything. We can appreciate his hand in everything when we study, his creation in detail, so that when we actually see the creation, when we perceive, we can actually remember Krishna. The whole point of education should be to remember Krishna. Anything that is not founded on Krishna, or we think that is not founded on, that is Maya. And that is explained in this verse in the Bhagavatam. Ritirtham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyādatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. Whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality, know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. If it is without relation to me, has no reality. The concept of us thinking that something is not related to Krishna, that is Maya. That is Maya. Tattvavit Maya. So in this way, we have to be pondering on the Krishna's Leela, even in this creation. Even when Krishna says among this and that, we should not think that this is inferior knowledge. I just want to hear about Ras Leela or something more high class standard. Hello, this is all his. It's actually very deep, because it enables us to see his presence everywhere in everything that we see. So it is actually important for us to even pay attention to all these seemingly not so important things. One thing we have to understand, Krishna does not speak anything that is not important. Okay? He does not speak anything that is meaningless. We speak sometimes meaningful, most of the time meaningless, but whatever he says is always full of meaning. It's pregnant, so pregnant with meaning, every single word that he speaks. Of course, still there are gradations on what is more important than others, but everything is just like, the other day we were reading in Nectar of Devotion. More perfect, he is perfect in Dwaraka, more perfect in Mathura. Sorry, it's the other way. He is perfect in Mathura, more perfect in Dwaraka, and most perfect in Vrindavan. But he's always perfect. So similarly, his words, whatever he is speaking, is always perfect. Some are more perfect, some are most perfect. All the knowledge that he is speaking is confidential. Some is more confidential, than some are most confidential. That's all. So everything we have to pay attention to. And acharyas, they have commented on these scriptures and showed us a framework on how to actually see. For example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in the Bhagavad Gita, then the key verse is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. He said every single verse in the Bhagavad Gita should be seen through the lens of that 1866 Sarvadharman Parityajya verse, 18 chapter 66th verse. So every verse is tied to that verse. So if we don't understand, if we sometimes, because he speaks many things in Bhagavad Gita, seemingly confusing. Oh, sometimes you have advocated for karma, sometimes jnana, sometimes this. Even Arjuna asked like that. Why are you sometimes asking me to act, and sometimes asking me to refrain from action? What should I do? You are giving me equivocal instructions. You do this and don't do this. How can both be followed? Give me a proper path to follow. He was also confused. Actually, he was not confused. He's asking for us who are confused. So, if we at any time feel that Krishna is saying one thing here and another thing there, actually he's not saying two different things. Everything is pointing to just one thing. But we will understand that if we have a proper framework to understand his words. This is why it is so enigmatic, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or anything like this Bhagavatam. Only a pure devotee, Krishna and his pure devotee, they can decode. I was telling this long ago, I told this, that although you may say, what is so confidential when he says, Mama Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakti? What is so secret in this? He's just asking us, everybody, to just think of him, become his devotee, play a business system. What is the secret in this? The secret is that this sentence can only be understood by devotees. Even if I know Sanskrit, if I am not a devotee, it is end-to-end encrypted. I can read it. It will still be garbled text for me. End-to-end encryption is there. The secret, the code, the passcode is bhakti. If we have bhakti, then all these words of Krishna will actually make sense. Otherwise, they will lead us to a void, an emptiness, because the intention is not bhakti, it's the opposite. We want to kill Krishna. So in that mode, if we want to study his words, Krishna will not allow us to enter the mysteries of his understanding. So it will be end-to-end encrypted between the Lord and his devotee. Bhaktosi me sakha chete rahasyam hetad uttamam. Because you are my devotee, you will get the full message. Other people will get garbled message. They will not understand. They will talk rubbish out of Bhagavad Gita. So that's the point. Bhakti is the ultimate decoding factor of all this knowledge. So when we hear Krishna Katha, we are not trying to understand Krishna. What we are actually doing there, it seems like we are, trying to understand Krishna. What we are really doing, what we should be doing, is we are submitting ourselves. Because if I listen to somebody speaking, by nature I am in a submissive position. Because I am willing to be enlightened by those words. So that's an act of submission. Hearing is an act of submission. If I am not interested in hearing, I am not submissive. Because Krishna wants to speak to me, I don't want to hear. What is the meaning of his books? Krishna, many people want to get Krishna Murti, in their house. They want to worship. Well, in our present conditioned state, the Murti is not going to speak to us. Pure devotees, they can speak with Murti, yes. In our present state, we are not qualified. The deity won't even respond. But he is more merciful in the form of his book, which is why we have to have Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these books at home in the physical book format. Don't be under this illusion that, I have it all in the app, I will read. No, it will not. Make himself manifest as just like you have Murti. Why you have Murti? You can always put Krishna picture on your wallpaper, phone wallpaper. I don't need a Murti. Why you have Murti? So you can actually fully focus on worshipping him, right? But the book form of Krishna is even more merciful because he will actually speak to you. Krishna Tulya Bhagavat. (24) 318, right? Yeah, Madhya. Krishna Tulya Bhagavat Vibhu Sarvashray. Prati Shloke Pratyakshare Nana Arthakoy. Every word, every letter, there are many meanings. This is Krishna speaking. Bhagavad means Krishna is speaking. And in every single word, in every single letter, there are many meanings. That's how meaningful. When Krishna speaks, it is always meaningful. If I think that it is boring, if I think that this is not so consequential knowledge, or this is not so important. No, everything is important. The importance, when we feel that it is not important, or it is not so nice to read, or it is not so relishable, when that happens, I am having an offensive attitude, which is why I am not facing that, or not feeling that the ecstasy. But for a devotee, the more one is submissive, the more Krishna will reveal through the same words a much deeper meaning. This is Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is as great as Krishna, the Supreme Lord and shelter of everything. In each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam and in each and every syllable there are various meanings. Right? Vedo Narayana Sakshat Swayambhu Iti Shushruma. Veda Pranihito Dharmo Hi Adharmastad Viparyayah Vedo Narayana Sakshat. The Vedas are Sakshat Narayana, because Narayana's words and Narayana are non-different. So all Vedas, and the Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalamidam, the Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic knowledge, the essence of the essence, the cream of Vedic knowledge. Saram Saram Samudhritam. See, Tadiham Grahayamasa Sutam Atmavatam Varam Sarva Vedetihasanam Saram Saram Samudhritam. Shri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son. What is that? It means Srimad Bhagavatam. Delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. And this verse. Sarva Vedanta Saram hi Shri Bhagavatam ishyate tad rasamrita triptasya nanyatra syad ratihi kvachit. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. Essence of all Vedanta. One who has felt satisfaction from his nectar and mellow will never be attracted to any other literature. So this is basically Krishna speaking. The book Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam is more merciful than the Krishna Murti. He will speak to you. Although we are not qualified, he will speak. It's coming down, coming to reach out to us. And his name, of course, is very reachable because we can chant his name. But then to be able to chant his name also, we have to hear him out in the form of reading his books. Otherwise, we are not submissive. Where am I a devotee then? If I am not willing to hear what Krishna has to say, where am I a devotee? I am not a devotee. So I should be willing. So okay, I'll just stop it right there. The infinite opulences of Krishna, we can't know everything, and that's not the goal actually. When Krishna says evam yovetti tattvataha, or know me in depth, what he's not meaning that you should know me completely. We can never know him completely, as we saw Krishna does not know himself completely. The idea there is whatever is revealed by him, we should know in depth. That means we have interest to know about Krishna. If we are interested in someone, we want to know more about that person. So, do I have interest in Krishna? Is what he wants to see. If we have interest, we will now want to know everything. So, he's waiting, he's looking out, he's looking for that interest in us. That is called Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. And how we will get that interest? यद अनुध्यासिना युक्ताः कर्मग्रन्थनिबन्धनं छिन्दन्ति कोविदास्तस्य को न कुर्यात् कथारतिम्. Okay? With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Katharatim. So now, who will not pay? How to? Shushrushoh Shraddadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihe Syan Mahatsevaya Vipraha Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So the reason why we're not interested is because of our own sinful reactions. And by serving pure devotees, starts with hearing, chanting, following their instruction. So in that way, we will gain affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. And of course, Srimatam Sukatha Krishna. And Krishna will start to cleanse our heart. So, okay. I will end it here and I'll see any questions, relevant questions. They say, the scientists say that the chaos happens so slowly that makes it predictable. They're so bad at defining their own words. If you go and see the dictionary word definition of chaos, it's a literal opposite of predictable. It's complete lack of order, lack of any pattern, lack of nothing. It's just absolute mayhem. But if it's predictable and if it is chaos at the same time, then there's something wrong with you. And because you are unable to define your own word. So they just don't want to admit that things are happening at a very high level which we cannot manage, but there is a management. We cannot manage such things, but there is a management, otherwise this won't exist. So admit it. There is a managing power. There is a manager. No, there's no manager. It's a chaos. It's slow chaos, predictable chaos. Look at what they're saying. I mean, no meaning to that phrase. Oxymoron. Morons coming with meaningless oxymorons. An oxymoron actually has meaning. When you say deafening silence, deafening means it's very loud, and silence means silence. Like, how can silence be so loud? But that's the very point of that phrase. The silence was so loud. That means it's conveying so many things. It's conveying such great meaning, just the silence. It's speaking volumes. That's a figurative way of expressing that the silence speaks volumes in that context, whatever context it is. Suppose if um, you know if somebody asks me, "Did you do that?" and I'm silent, that's deafening silence, because that is speaking volumes. I'm admitting that I'm not saying it, but I'm admitting it. It's speaking volumes. So there is a meaning to those contradictory words put together. That's an oxymoron, which actually has meaning. But here, predictable chaos, meaningless oxymoron. Only exceptional morons can come up with that kind of oxymoron. Some Jayant Chaudhary is always talking about Vaishnava Aparadha. What to do if I don't know whom I have committed Vaishnava? Don't worry so much. If you are in your heart, you have given up the Vaishnava or offensive mentality, it's fine. Actually, I wanted to speak. I wanted to make a short video about Vaishnava Aparadha because this phrase of Vaishnava Aparadha is being abused in ISKCON. Oh, anything you point out, they say Vaishnava Aparadha, Vaishnava Aparadha. Can we sit back and for a second define what a Vaishnava is and what Aparadha is and see whether, because sometimes it's just the plain truth, honesty, and they call it Vaishnava Aparadha when they don't behave like Vaishnavas, and then it's not even an Aparadha. They're actually just stating the bare facts and becomes Vaishnava Aparadha. And they just scare devotees with that word, that phrase, and keep them shut. It's a silencing tactic. Anyway, I'm digressing. That's not the subject of today's topic. Um, False ego very high. Even if pure soul become merciful to help, it is because of sense enjoyment propensity. This envy also very difficult to overcome. In the beginning, maybe, oh, I want to show off that I'm merciful. But causeless mercy comes when that is the meaning of causeless mercy. There's no reason to become merciful. First of all, we are not deserving of that mercy, and he has no other motive, he has no other cause, hetu, to show that mercy. Not that he wants to show people that I am merciful. Causeless. Just for our benefit, completely selfless. Krishna gains nothing from this. Krishna has nothing to gain. It's just for us. So that is causeless mercy. Yeah, in the beginning, maybe when we are trying to preach, we want to be, known for being merciful, and then we want to create a reputation around that. That's still a contamination. But that's why we should become submissive and hearing every time, and then we understand. Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually sang in the song "Kabe Habe Bolo Shedin Amar." In the last verse, he says, "Kabe Nija Sukha Bhuli Sudina Hriday Shri Agnya Tahala Prachar." He says, "When will I become actually humble and carry out the order of preaching?" So that is something. It requires actually humility. Preaching actually requires humility. It looks like a puffed up a duty where one is just sitting on a high seat and giving a lecture that is preaching. No, that's not preaching. Preaching actually is with every moment we should be actually preaching by our example, by our words, and in a mood of wanting to serve. In a mood of wanting to serve. Prabhupada said once that I am 10th class man. You all are 4th and 5th class people, and I'm your servant. I'm a 10th class man. I mean, look at how he did not mince his words in bashing them that they are 4th and 5th class people. But he's again so humble that he's considering him a 10th class, so therefore I am your servant, Prabhupada said. So I am here to serve. So he's preaching, he's taking it as a humble service to elevate them to become first class. But actually, unless you're first class, how you can actually elevate them? But that's the humility. So Venugopal Prabhu is saying yesterday only Sunita Williams landed with great difficulty from space. Imagine they landed in 1960s and came back. Yeah, can't even get two astronauts stuck in space. Trishanku, they were stuck, neither on Earth, neither on Moon, halfway in space, like Trishanku, they were stuck. And they're talking about going to Moon and Mars and all these things. Possible. With this body, impossible. Is it true that Krishna personally dictated to Prabhupada what to write in his books? Yeah, Prabhupada said that. Krishna spoke and I wrote. All pure devotees' words are that Krishna wants to give the credit to the devotee that this is his commentary, such a wonderful explanation such an acharya gave. So we will praise that acharya, and that's what Krishna wants to see. Krishna wants to see the acharya praised for such a. That's why Baldev Vidyabhushan gave the credit back to Krishna. He called his commentary as Govinda Bhasha. Govinda Bhasha, because Govinda Dev was dictating and he wrote. But when the acharya writes, it's actually Krishna dictating. But then Krishna does not say; he makes the acharya say it. Because Shukamukad Amrita Dravasamyutam, when it, when the Bhagavatam is received through the mouth of the Shukadeva, Shuka means parrot actually. So actually, I did not know this. Venugopal Prabhu was telling me the other day that when a guava is, you know, pecked at by a parrot, beak of a parrot, apparently the guava tastes even sweeter. I did not know that. I mean, it's mentioned in the purports, but I thought it was just a figurative way of saying it, but I don't know if it really actually makes it sweet, but apparently it does. So I want to now taste actually some fruit which is kind of touched by the beak of a parrot. I want to actually have an experience of that to kind of viscerally understand that word of Shukamukad Amrita Dravasamyutam. So apparently that is the case. So similarly, Krishna's teachings, when they come from the mouth of a pure devotee, become sweeter. And therefore, you see those songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur or the purports of Prabhupada, add so much weight. And even the acharyas' commentaries on when they're quoted, they just make things so clear. Actually, Krishna's words are clear, but they wouldn't have been so clear if it was not for the acharyas' commentaries and Prabhupada's purports. How would we understand them? So, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is said that even those commentaries of the bona fide acharyas are actually emanate from the breathing of the Lord. It's a beautiful verse. I think the other day I read it in the class. I can actually read it again. the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I think in page 7, I guess. Yeah. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4, 5, 11. Asya mahato bhutasya nishvasitam. Nishvasitam means breathing. Ato mahato bhutasya. Mahato bhutasya means the Supreme Lord, the great soul, the greatest soul. Asya mahato bhutasya nishvasitam etad yad rigvedo yajurvedah samavedo atharvangirasa itihasah puranam vidya upanishadah shlokaah sutrani anuvyakhyanaani Vyakhyanaanishtam. Anuvyakhyanaani are these commentaries. The Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, and the Vedic histories such as Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Puranas, the transcendental knowledge of the Upanishads, the various verses, the aphorisms such as those contained in the Vedanta Sutra, Narada Bhakti Sutra, etc. Their authoritative elucidations and commentaries have all emanated from the breath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we should not take that the acharyas' commentaries are their opinion. Their opinion comes from where? Dictation of Krishna through the mouth of the pure devotees, because Krishna wants to give them the credit. And when we glorify the acharya for the commentary with such a wonderful description, such a wonderful explanation, Krishna becomes pleased. So you see how Krishna is actually creating opportunities for us to please him, where he gives the credit to the acharya, and we glorify the acharya so that Krishna is pleased even more, that because his pure devotee is praised or glorified. So in that way, Krishna becomes more pleased with us. So he is giving us the opportunity to become pleased by not only him speaking, but also letting the devotees speak and write commentaries. And then when we appreciate such devotees, and then Krishna becomes even more pleased than when we appreciate him directly. So it's very, very merciful. The whole program is just unbounded mercy of the Lord. Tilak is asking, Prabhuji, does Krishna choose us to become a devotee of Krishna, or we choose to become a devotee of Krishna? If he chooses who should become a devotee, he would want to choose everyone to become a devotee. You think, if you say that Krishna chooses us to become a devotee of Krishna, that means the other side of the coin is that he chose that these people should not become my devotees. That indicates that Krishna is not merciful. So Krishna is merciful. Do you think that Krishna actually wants anyone to be in the suffering in this material world? So that will be denouncing Krishna's merciful nature. So it is not Krishna's, what is the question? It is not Krishna's choice whether we become a devotee or not. It's our choice whether we want to become a devotee of Krishna or not. So the freedom, yathechhasi tatha kuru. Do as you please, he said to Arjuna. So the freedom is for Arjuna to choose. Now you may say, come on, if that was really the case, then the dog would be able to choose also. What happened? Dog cannot choose. In this case, dog is unable to choose because he did not want to choose previously. He wanted to forget Krishna so bad that if he at all remembers Krishna, he will start to offend him, hates him. I just want to forget him. Okay? Forget me. For millions and billions of years. For almost eternity. Anadi karma phale padi bhavarnava jale. So for millions of aeons, we have forgotten him because we asked for it. Krishna just fulfilled our desire. He is not to be blamed for this. That independence we have given up and said that, okay, I choose to forget Krishna. When we said that, then Krishna said, okay. He gave us multiple life forms where there's full facility to forget Krishna. Again, he gives us a chance in human life. Hey, what do you want to choose again? So this life you have got now, what do you want to choose? Forget me or remember me? Forget me? Okay. Another set of millions of lives again. Forget. So, It's always our choice whether we want to become a devotee of Krishna or not. But we are so condemned that we are unable to actually make that choice. We have forgotten that we have a choice of remembering Krishna. So this is where Krishna repeatedly reminds us and sends his devotees, and the devotees are the ones who force some sort of remembrance of Krishna onto us, whether we like it or not. And when we don't like it, it's still acting on us. Because, somehow or other, we are made to remember Krishna again. So we chose to forget Krishna, but Krishna is sending his devotees to kind of advocate for him. So when they say Hare Krishna or they chant something, although the non-devotees are upset, oh, these are noisy people, they make so much noise, this and that, always chanting Hare Krishna and doing nothing. So, but they're forced to chant Hare Krishna or remember Hare Krishna. So in that way, they're slowly getting purified. We would have been one of those people, and eventually purified, and now we came to a point where at least we are trying to accept the principles and actually become devotee of Krishna. So it's a long journey. Well, tasting guava touched by lips of parrot, how could that be offered and partaken as prasadam? Yeah, I mean, when Gopal will say honey touched by lips of honeybee, water in a pond or even a river touched by lips of fish, milk from cow first tasted by calves. Well, the thing is, this is an example quoted in the Bhagavad. So if there is such a thing, there is such a thing. So if Bhagavatam is saying whether it can be offered or not, that's another thing. Maybe in the mind we have to offer and then try to eat. I don't know how it goes, but well, there are things like the honey is touched by the lips of a serpent, and the silk is actually the saliva of the silkworm, and we are offering it to the Lord. So anyway, it is something that the Bhagavatam states, and Shastri Kurvanti Shastrani, Narada Bhakti Sutra 69th verse says, the pure devotees make the scriptures authoritative, meaningful, and um, authoritative. I mean, they glean the most powerful evidences and they give a framework how to understand the scriptures even. That's why in the other day, Subala Prabhu was saying in the class, Bhagavatam class, that if you read the Shat Sandarbhas, you can understand Bhagavatam very well. It's a fact. Jiva Goswami, although Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, again, Jiva Goswami, when he points out, okay, this is the evidence for this is the evidence for this, it becomes very clear now, okay, this is, so like that. Tilak is saying, I want to donate 10% of my salary every month. Okay, if you are in India, then you can give to the Puducherry Ice Cream Temple. You can contact those devotees and do so. Okay, I think I'll stop it here. Thank you very much. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.